Shangri-La Frontier is legitimately the gold standard for what a video game focused anime should look and feel like. I already know people are going to say, oh, but there was 3D crystal scorpions. Literally doesn't matter. It was actually pretty decent 3D, and we took until episode 20 freaking 4 to even have something that was really that objectively worse than the average quality we got in a show that every single week gave us action. They blended that shit in seamlessly, in my opinion, and it was just so fun. But the thing that I've constantly hyped up about this show is it actually feels like the author, and of course the studio adapting it is doing a great job bringing it to life, but to have an author write a video game world, there's no die in the game, die in real life BS. The biggest threat we have is what we have in most video games, that NPCs can die and stay dead. There's no do-overs. Except in single-player games, you can make a new game and start over. This is a MMO. It's whatever here is here. This is permadeath. But it's just a video game. It is watching people play a video game. It's no different than watching a Twitch streamer play a video game. And the fact that we have, and I honestly think this is a top 5 episode of Shangri-La Frontier, and it flexes why this author is so good at what they do. Everything that I saw Sunraku do this episode is not only stuff that I have done and will continue to do in the future playing video games, it's what I've seen people who aren't casual gamers do. And that is, oh, this thing that will easily kill you, and there's a swarm of them. You have no actual hope of defeating them in most circumstances. But what about the drops? And what about the challenge? And the idea of using Inventoria as this grind mechanism to let them hurt themselves, get the drops, teleport in and out, do that repeatedly, but most importantly, you can't stop until you have one of everything, especially the most valuable item, that stinger. The fact that if you've actually played video games long enough, you can relate to this moment. The stinger's there. He did this perfect maneuver, his last one for the day, and he just misses it. And that shattering realization, that RNG bitch of a goddess, you're gonna have to do that again another day if you want it, because you failed, you died. And this isn't a situation where we're shedding a tear, it's just the natural frustration. There's a reason why people when watching sporting events will get so salty when their favorite player or their team misses that winning shot by just a little bit, an inch. It's so beautiful what they did with this episode. And I said it last week, we could have the worst production in this episode and the show would still be the most consistent 2-core, because a lot of people misunderstood what I said. There are a lot of great 2-cores that have been airing, Free Run, all this, that, and the third, but this show had action every single week. This was a level of consistency that I have yet to see, and the fact that the worst 3D I saw in the show slaps on some of the best 3D that 1-cores have had recently really flexes how much passion was put into this, and I legitimately enjoyed watching this episode. I thought the 3D crystal scorpions were actually handled quite well. They didn't give them a ridiculous texture, so it let them blend in quite easily to the icy kind of like snow-driven landscape. And the fact that Sunraku stayed consistent, hand-drawn, the speed, the momentum. This was a 10 out of 10 freaking episode. One of the best episodes of the show to date, and it's why this is the gold standard for video game anime. I, of course, have full live reactions to all these wonderful Shangri-La Frontier episodes over on my Patreon. Want to see my full and good thoughts? They're over there if you're interested. One more to go, and goddamn, I hope we get a Season 2 announcement at the end of, next week's episode. This is too good to pass up. The material's there, the passion's there with this. It's just, I said it, I forget when I said it. It was like episode 2 or 3 in that area when I was first covering the show, that this could be like the next SAO in terms of popularity. And I really think it has that potential because of how good they're doing it. Of course, there's people who will say there's no stakes, and I've already expressed why that's not true, but you know, it is what it is. But the thing about that really separates a show like Shangri-La Frontier to something like an SAO, or even stuff like, I really like Bofuri, but there's a reason Shangri-La Frontier stomps on that show too. It understands game design to such a degree that it's not just a simple gimmick of, oh, this is how you exploit things. No, that's awesome. They do it in this episode. Our boy continuously tries to equip shit, just hoping that he can get through a glitch or something and equip stuff even with that curse. That makes sense, and you would see that in something like a Bofuri, which is great show, I like it a lot. But the thing about this is that it just understands everything. Like, this is clearly written by someone who plays video games as their main passion, because this is the type of knowledge and idea that you get when you play shit from childhood up until your adult years. And not just casually playing some FIFA here and there, no, like actually grinding, exploiting. There's a reason why I did the duplication glitch like so many when playing Tears of the Kingdom, and we continued to do it every time Nintendo patched it. It wasn't even really about getting the items. At a certain point, it was just fun to do the glitch. And then once you get the glitch, you turn off those auto updates so Nintendo can't remove that from you, and you do it until you have max items and everything. Because sometimes breaking a game can be more fun than playing it legit. And the fact that our boy just comes to such great ideas, and the frustration he has. He was about to log out for the day because he's like, I'm good. And then he had his brain blast Jimmy Neutron style and said, wait a second, I'm not out just yet. The number of sleepless nights, or 2 to 3 hour sleep nights, because you say one more thing and then I'll go to bed. The man's addicted to this game, and any gamer has been in his shoes. And the coolest thing about the way he was farming these things was that he used their own force and their sharp and sturdy armor against them in order to shatter. The thing is in order to get the stinger, you really have to pinpoint it perfection. You basically have it all launch at the same thing, teleport back and hit. He did it correctly, but the idea that basically if you were in VR, it's a lot different than when we play stuff on controller or mouse and keyboard, because the game systems are limited to a lot more constricted movements and actions. There still is some great video games that can do stuff insanely well, but if we had VR to this point, this is how so many of us playing video games would try to do stuff in terms of actually moving around an environment that feels like we're picking stuff up in our own world. This is the episode that truly defines Shangri-La Frontier as the top video game anime for me, because it legitimately understands the fundamentals of playing video games and how you manipulate the environment to do these silly, ridiculous things. And like I said, I think it was either last video or the video before, something about SLF Theater in the past third of this anime has been way better than normal. The fact that, you know, Rip and Mule, look, I don't even know what Pencil was trying to say, but at the end of the day, apparently we turn our bunny friend into dynamite because that's potentially a decent way to defeat this first boss. I don't know, but that's this show, and I love it. I'm going to be incredibly sad when this wraps up next week, but I am so hopeful for a season 2 because this is just getting better and better, and the fact that it actually feels like watching someone play a real video game that I would want to play, and I can see all these things that I can remember doing in games myself. Sunraku is him. He is the ultimate gamer because he feels like us and he has that passion. And the fact that even if you don't understand why he's doing certain things or why he's being so silly, he has such a passion that you're like, I don't get it, but I respect his hustle because he just can't say no. Inventoria's OP, Rip a Mule because she's dynamite, give me season 2. Let me know what you thought of this week's episode down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new around here, of course ring the bell so you get notified when I upload more, and like I mentioned, full live reactions over on my Patreon, and hey, while you're over there, I'll also give you a video shout-out. So today we got Snake Eater 7, Nathan Semichuk, Zeshram, Dark Lord, and Jornis Pierre. So I appreciate the support, everyone, and please take care and have a good one.